Beverly Hills Cop 2 is directed by Tony Scott and stars Eddie Murphy, Bridget Nielsen, and Judge Reinhold as Axel Foley returns to Beverly Hills to help Taggart and Rosewood investigate a series of alphabet crimes consisting of highly orchestrated robberies. Paramount presents this film for the first time in 4K UHD with Dolby Vision and HDR10. What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the Mid-Level Media channel, your hub for everything physical media and entertainment. I am Ken, and today, guys, we are here to break down and review and talk about Beverly Hills Cop 2, Paramount's latest release, and I am very excited to get into this one because this was a first-time watch for me. I'd seen the first film a couple of years ago, but the second one, I guess I was just waiting for the 4K release to come out to watch it. But yeah, excited to talk about this. We are going to talk about the movie. We're going to talk about the 4K transfer. We're going to talk about the audio details, the special features or lack thereof, and then we're going to do a little unboxing as well so I can just show you all the contents of this packaging. Beautiful cover on this one too, by the way. But before we get into it, I have to ask, do you like Blu-rays and 4Ks and physical media, owning the movies that you love? Do you like all this stuff behind me right here? If the answer to all those questions is yes, hit the subscribe button. I do tons of physical media based content on this channel every single day, and you will definitely dig this channel if you like Blu-rays and 4Ks and movies. And also be sure to like this video, guys, and comment down below. Are you a fan of Beverly Hills Cop 2? Do you plan on picking up this 4K release? Like I said, I will be leaving the link for purchase in the description below. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on this film? Also, let me know what your thoughts on my thoughts are in the comment section below as well. And also, yeah, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos. You got to turn on the bell notifications. But yeah, let's get into talk about this movie, Beverly Hills Cop 2. So first off, let me start by saying I am not the biggest fan of the first movie. I watched it. Of all the 80s Eddie Murphy movies that I've seen recently, because I've seen a lot of them in the last five years or so, I was a big 90s Murphy guy growing up. I grew up in the 90s, so I watched Nutty Professor, Dr. Dolittle, all that stuff. But I recently dove into the 80s Eddie Murphy stuff. I will say that probably my favorite is Coming to America. But of his like cop films, his buddy cop films, I'll say I liked 48 Hours significantly more than I did the first Beverly Hills Cop movie. So I kind of thought it was a little bit overrated, especially considering that Beverly Hills Cop was the highest grossing film of 1984. And this was the third highest grossing film of 1987. So kind of crazy to think about just how big of a juggernaut this franchise was back in the day. And all of that you can contribute to that man on the cover, like, because he was just a superstar comedian in that time. So it definitely makes sense that the movies took off the way that they did. But yes, of all the Eddie Murphy's comedies, like I like Trading Places better. I don't know, there's something about the Beverly Hills Cop movie that I just couldn't connect with. So going into this one, I was a little bit apprehensive, though. It was directed by Tony Scott, you know, fresh off of Top Gun the year before. You know, they hired Tony Scott. They're like, this is a hot director. We're going to bring him in to do the sequel to one of the most successful comedies of all time. And I think for the most part that works, like, because Tony Scott was really coming to his own as an action director at this point. I think he does a really good job just directing some of these action set piece moments in the movie. But at the end of the day, this is still, after watching this movie, this is still a franchise that I cannot connect to like I want to. And again, it's not really Eddie Murphy's fault. Like, I really love him and everything that he's in. And I think he really does bring a lot of charm and charisma to this role and this character. It's more so just the situations and the writing and the setup around him, the characters around him that just don't work, don't really jive well with his style in this movie. Like, I think Nick Nolte is a great counterpart to Eddie Murphy's like shenanigans, his cop shenanigans in 48 Hours. Again, I know Eddie Murphy's not a cop in 48 Hours. He was a prisoner, but I just thought that those two had some really good chemistry. I don't get that with him and Judge Reinhold and the other guys, Taggart in the movie. Again, I don't know the real life actor's name, but I just don't get that with them. I don't really get any chemistry with that little trio, and it is kind of like a trio buddy cop movie. And I just never, I don't know, I just can't connect to anything that's really going on in these movies. There's some cool stuff. Like I said, there's some cool action moments in these movies. I remember almost nothing from the first film other than he comes to Beverly Hills and he gets involved with the police organization there and he helps them solve some crimes. So that pretty much happens again here. It's rinse, wash, repeat, the same thing as the first film. So again, that just kind of makes it feel like it has, like, it doesn't really have a purpose as a movie other than the first movie did really good. So we're going to come back again and we're going to do this sequel and we're going to make a whole bunch of money again, which they did. So again, in that sense, it just feels kind of lifeless. Like it just doesn't have any purpose to it. Like it's no reason for being. And it just feels like the same thing over again. So, and again, if you're a fan of the first film, if you're a fan of this franchise, which I know a lot of people are, you probably love that. And there are franchises that I love that are the same thing. Like you can watch the first one and clearly see that the second one is trying to do the exact same thing as the first one did. So again, that kind of makes me feel like a hypocrite, but it's something with this particular franchise. Again, I can say that I like this movie slightly better than the first, but overall, I'm just still not a huge fan of this one. So yeah, his partners, I just can't stand them in this movie. Taggart and Rosewood, played by Reinhold. Reinhold is such a goof. I love him in the Santa Claus, and I love him in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but put him in this situation as a cop, I just don't buy it. And he's just really goofy. Like both of them are really goofy. And it's like Eddie Murphy's over the top of this comedy and stuff, and he's trying to riff off of them. And it just doesn't work because neither one of them are funny. They're not funny like Eddie Murphy. So he doesn't really have anybody to play off of in this movie. So I think that definitely hurts it as well. There are some fun sequences in this movie that I think make it stand out a little bit over the first for me. Like the whole Playboy Mansion sequence was really fun. You know, you have Hugh Hefner come in there. You have Chris Rock in there for like, I don't know, like a minute or something. But I just wish when I see Chris Rock and Eddie Murphy together, I'm just like, could we just have like a movie of this? Like, could Chris Rock stick around for a little bit longer and bring some charisma and some life into this movie? Again, it sounds like I'm crapping on this movie. This is not a bad movie by any means. I've seen tons of awful movies. This is not a bad movie. This flows nicely. There's nice action. There's nice setup to that action. The story is very basic, but it is a story there. And again, it works for the most part. You know, the villain characters are doing the ABC crimes is what I almost called it. But the alphabet crimes, you know, they're smashing, they're robbing banks. You know, they're you know, doing the robber criminal thing, and then Eddie Murphy has to come in and help solve the crime. They shoot his former police chief, so that kind of goes into the whole like personal aspect of it. He feels like he has to come back because his boss was shot, so he has to solve this crime in order to set things right. But overall, yeah, you had Gilbert Godfrey in this movie for a little bit. I did enjoy seeing, rest in peace, Gilbert Godfrey. I enjoyed seeing him for a small sequence. Like I said, Hugh Hefner as well. So there are some fun sequences. There's a nice car chase in this movie with a cement mixing semi that I thought was pretty fun. Like, it's a pretty fun car chase sequence. But overall, the villains are pretty weak. Like Bridget Nielsen's in this movie, who, you know, I've been watching a lot of Bridget Nielsen. You know, she was in Cobra. She was in Rocky IV. She's okay for the most part. As a movie, guys, look, I don't want to talk about it too much. I don't want to make anybody mad. I know a lot of people love this movie. I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5. Again, it's not a bad movie. It's just, I cannot connect to this franchise. I don't know. What do you want me to say? A 3 out of 5 is the best I can get this. But let's get into the real standout of this 4K release. And thank God this is the standout. And again, if you're a fan of this movie, this is going to make you very happy. But this 4K transfer is absolutely beautiful. It is stunning. It looks great, and it's in Dolby Vision, it's in HDR10, like it has all the bells and whistles as far as visually, as far as a 4K transfer, what you would want from a 4K transfer, this has, and it looks great. It's very clear. It has a consistent light grain structure throughout, so not a lot of grain, but you can definitely notice it enough to make it feel like, you know, it's a film, it's an older film, but it's very clear, it's very consistent. Most of this movie was shot like in the sunset. Like, it looks like the sun's always going down in this movie. So that adds a nice color, a nice orange hue to the film that really sticks out and pops with that HDR. The facial detail, like Eddie Murphy, when they show him up close, it just looks so incredibly detailed. And yeah, everything about this 4K transfer, there's a lot of like night sequences as well. A lot of scenes with the sun's going down, but in the night, there's some nightclub sequences. Black levels are really nice, really deep, and really rich. And yeah, everything's just really detailed about this transfer, and I cannot say enough good things about the 4K transfer of this movie. It absolutely looks spectacular. So no worries there. And like I said, I'm in the minority, I think, when it comes to this movie and being a fan of it, or being a fan of this franchise in general. So if you like this franchise and you just want to get a nice 4K transfer for the movie that you love, you're going to be happy here. So as far as the audio, guys, there is no Dolby Atmos, there is no 7.1, but this does have a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1. So I don't have any kind of sound system set up. I just listening to it on a soundbar, but everything sounded good to me throughout as far as that was concerned. So yeah, get into the packaging of this. This is a really nice slipcover. Again, I pointed this out. I unboxed this the other day in a video, but just how like when you lift this up, the actual case is a little bit more dimmer, a little bit more muted as far as the coloring than the actual 4K case. So I don't really know, or the slipcover, I don't really know what that's all about. But yeah, that's kind of weird. Also, one thing that I'll point out is this artwork that's on the back right there. It's kind of like it kind of looks realistic when you're looking at Judge Reinhold and Taggart up there, Rosewood and Taggart. But then when you get to Eddie Murphy, it looks like a comic book character, or it looks like a comic book drawing. So that's kind of weird. Now let's get into the maybe kind of controversial, you know, stuff associated with this release. And that is the fact that, again, Paramount's been doing this. They did it with Scream 2022, but there is no Blu-ray in this set. So you only get the 4K disc. And I'll pop this open. But I'll take the code out because, again, I'll probably give the code away at a later date. But you just get the 4K, and because you just get the 4K and not the Blu-ray, you don't get any of these special features. So there are absolutely no special features in this 4K release. There's none, not even audio commentary on the 4K. And again, I don't know if there are. I imagine there are audio commentaries of Beverly Hills Cop 2 on the DVD, previous DVD releases, Blu-ray, that Blu-ray set that they came out with a couple of years ago. I'm sure there was something to do with Beverly Hills Cop 2. But there's just nothing here. Again, they didn't put the Blu-ray in it, and they did not bother to put any special features on the 4K. Now, I will say that the price is $19.99, so that kind of reflects the fact that there is no Blu-ray and no special features. But then again, it kind of doesn't, because we get 4K releases all the time for like $21, $22, $20 even. Like I've seen plenty come out at the $20 price point and give you a good amount of special features in there as well as a Blu-ray disc. So I don't really think when it comes to this kind of release, like I get it when it's like a newer film like a Scream 2022, but when it's a past release, I think at the $20 price point, yes, it's lower than normal, but that doesn't really reflect not including special features or a Blu-ray disc. I would say more or less you should have made this like $17.99 if you didn't want to add a Blu-ray or special features, because this is an older movie that's coming out. So I don't know. I guess it's really hard for me to recommend this at this point because I didn't like the movie that much, but I will say that if you do love this movie, this is the only way you can own this on 4K. There is not an option to get this 4K release with a Blu-ray. So I imagine if you do love this movie, you probably already have the Blu-ray. So I would say keep the Blu-ray if you want those special features, and then get the 4K if you want to see this film in the best way possible, because the 4K transfer absolutely delivers. So I will say that with this release. But at the end of the day, it is really hard for me to recommend this as an actual release. As an actual release itself, I got to give it a 3 out of a 5. And I would say wait for the sale on this one, because I feel like this one will probably drop pretty quickly down to like 17 or 16 here in the next couple weeks. So I would honestly wait on it. I don't think it's worth a $20 pickup because there are no special features in this. But with that, that is my review of Beverly Hills Cop 2 on 4K. Hope you enjoyed it. Please, in the comment section below, let me know what you think about this movie. Let me know if you're going to pick up this 4K release. I will be leaving the link below for purchase. Also, let me know your thoughts on my thoughts. Do you disagree with me? Let me know in that comment section below. Also, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications for all future videos, and follow me on all my social media accounts. Those links are in the description, and we'll see you next time.